Welcome back for Season 8, almost 2 years running in this league now, and it's never been as much fun as, I was going to say it's never been as much fun as it is now, but I think it'd be funny if I said it's never been as much fun as like Season 5 or something. But anyway, I've got Graham with me, as is tradition. Say hi.
Hello.
Right, we're going to take a look at what we've got this season. 30 teams, 10 of them returning. Let's have a look at those returning teams. Yep. Division 1, Littlefoot's Legion. I'm glad we're starting with these guys because it warms my heart to see that they are not completely decimated. Because as you remember, exactly a season ago, Graham, you were saying how these guys are going to struggle because they went for the Croxagore and Forsauruses to start with. And indeed they did struggle. They had a very rough season. In fact, no, that's not even true. They didn't have a rough season because a rough season would suggest that things happened. They had a completely, just a season of no things happening until near the end. And as you can see by looking at it, they have got a pretty decent looking roster right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they've got a solid basis to build from. I like his mix of skills. So Crocs with guard, I like because he's got the tail, he's got the guard, he's useful in most situations, and you don't have to activate him for him to be effective. Block tackle is useful in this league. I'd be thinking the other block guys, I'd be looking at some break tackle in there just to give you a little bit of spicy mobility. Maybe it's a cheeky mighty blow. Yeah. And there's an argument for a Wrestlesaurus, just one.
What, for cage breaking?
Just for whenever, because everyone else will have block. Give him a cheeky wrestle, you run him in, fall over, then you put your 2 dive and tackle. And if those 2 dive and tackle then get sidestep, it's an absolute ball ache to remove them.
Very clever, yeah. And that tackle is definitely going to come in handy in this league, as we're about to see. It's probably the dodgiest Division 1 we've ever seen.
The other thing you can consider if he wants to, depending on his value, is early on he'd need a lot of rerolls, because he's got a lot of things that don't have block. So if he's struggling team value wise, he could, once he's got block on Allosaurus, he could drop down to 3 and then save 60k in value.
That's a heartbreaking decision to have to make, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big one because depends on how it's going. Because having 4 rerolls is good for anti-hot potting, and it's good just for having. You can be a lot more aggressive with how you play because you know if you burn 1 turn 1. You're still all right for the rest of the drive. Yep. You can burn 2 in the first 2 or 3 turns and still be okay. So it does change how aggressive you're able to be. He's got a decent sized roster, nice sneaky git there, which is unusual for a skink, but I like it because it does give him that stampy action. Yeah,
which again in this quite dodgy low armor league is going to come in quite handy, I think.
Yeah, I think he's good. And was he fairly new to when he came in last time? Because it says he's coach level 4, but he might have played on tabletop.
Well, I don't know how new he was when he first started playing, but he's been with us for like 4 seasons now, so whatever he was then is definitely not now.
It's gone now then, yeah, he's played enough. He's also good that he doesn't have a massive fan factor fucking him over value-wise.
Yeah.
Fan factor of 2.
The one advantage of losing every game 1-0.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there you go, seal of approval. Very nice. Let's take a look at St. Nico's Flying Circus, the most experienced team in the league. Lost a few players last season, but all that's really done is lean him out a little bit to bring him down to the same TV level as a lot of these teams that have had 1 less season than him. So that's a pretty nice roster.
He's rocking 10 players, so he's going to be going up, I think it's 60k in value. Depends on how he views it and what he should do moving forward. I love his Crocs, it's a tame bear. Break tackle guard, lovely. Strength 4 block, lovely. The other blitzer, blodging with guard. He's got all the key setup bits. The break tackle, that catcher needs to get wrestle, the one with strip ball.
Yeah.
He's got all the core skills. I know the wrestled block was a misclick because I was giving him grief for it last time.
Yeah, there are worse misclicks.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you could have picked pass block.
Yeah.
Like half the other people have. Just put it out there, Kenny. Love you. 3 rerolls, Apple, 8 fan factor is bringing his value up a little bit, but it's also handy to try to get fame and a bit of money because his players are fairly pricey. And with 90k in the bank, he's got the options of running it up a bit and having 4 blitzers, and in an elf-heavy league having that much dive and tackle. And if you're building it in, if you get a blitzer death, but you've already got 3 others that have got levels, it's not as big of a hit. Where if he loses one of those big blitzers early, he's going to feel it more because he doesn't have the cover already earning SPP.
I mean, just looking at this team, I'm just thinking, oh my god, this looks like a massive pain in the arse to play against.
That's what Kislev are. They're just a pain. You got to play sensible, cagey, positional Blood Bowl. If you play a good positional Blood Bowl, you kick the hell out of him. If you don't,
I don't know if that applies to my team that is constituted.
You're going to enjoy that. But you'll just get to punch him in the face. That's what you enjoy doing.
But yeah, I mean, the big talk is this Fixtures season? Is this a team that you can see going all the way? Sorry, I'm just going into journalist mode here. Graham, is this a team that you
I can answer these questions. For the pressure, I don't see why not. I mean, you wouldn't look at this and think like the old Dark Elves from the final last year. I think it was Clan Cthulhu. I looked at that and said that team, if it goes forward, should win the league. This is good, but it's not, oh my god, this is going to hammer you good. It's got potential, but it's not auto-win. He has to play really well. Things have to go his way at the right time. So I'd say he's got potential. He should make playoffs, definitely. Maybe semi-final, depending on how he develops. Because he could jump up, like if he just gets an MVP on that blodging guy and he suddenly gets tackle. Because that's what this team lacks in a dodge-heavy environment. He has no tackle.
I think also he has. He doesn't have stuff in reserve, does he?
Yeah,
if he loses that kicker, he ain't got kick anymore. If he loses that strength up catcher with strip ball, really his cage breaking potential has just been massively reduced.
Yeah, he's down to jump and strength 4 in, which is not what it'll work once or twice, but once he falls over, you can guarantee he's getting stamped on.
Yeah, and his first game, we'll see this later, but his first game is against Halflings, who are going to get like 600 inducements on him. So he's going to have 3 treemen hitting him every turn.
That could be a season, depending on how that game goes.
Yeah,
it's a season ender or a season maker. If he can wreck you, because you can't defend like what everyone seems to run up, and I've watched a lot of people run up and line up like they do against every other team, and he'll just go past you.
Yeah.
And if he does that against you, and he can get around you or just jump over you, there's very little you can do as halflings to stop him because your trees don't have the mobility to help.
Yep.
But if you can not let him do that, 3 treemen will eventually, even if you just knock players out, you can then get the numbers on him, start fouling him, and he doesn't have anything in reserve to take the hits.
Yep.
So I hope for the good fun season we get like a 3-all draw, but I'd expect it to be a 2-1 in that first game.
Somebody's going to have a bad time. It's because like a lot of this dive-in tackle, if he just stands next to my halflings, I can't really fight. I can't really fight that strength 4 blitzer. I'm not going to commit like 3 or 4 halflings to it, and I can't really dodge away. So at that point, from my perspective, the most sensible thing to do is to be like, well, that halfling's going to get sacrificed for the good of the rest of the team. And if you can keep doing that to me every single turn, it's going to be pretty devastating. Yeah,
you'll run out of players before he does.
Yeah. Anyway.
And it could be an SPP pinata that sets him up for the rest of the league as well, so it's swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, and obviously the win always gives you a slightly better chance of getting a bit more cash if you're saving up for a blitzer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking good. Let's have a look at the Rivendell Reavers.
Now this, that is a spicy team. It
Yeah.
is a spicy meatball.
And I mean, the spice is added by the fact that he's got several stat downs and niggles still hanging
Yeah.
around.
So that I'm just
I
looking at the
think the first
potential.
question we should ask ourselves, Graham, is there anything in there that you think needs to be gotten rid of all those niggles, stat downs, and the like?
Basic bitch lineman that's niggled. Is it Gilgalad?
Yeah.
He's gone. 0 SPP lineman. He's got 100k in the bank and a billion players. I'd get rid of him. I'd keep the catcher just for the mobility and the wrestle until he can afford to get rid of him. Because I wouldn't be sacking a 90k player off that's got a skill compared to that other crappy one. Just leave Elf 2 on the bench and have him as your shit's got emotional reserve.
Yeah.
As a team, the thrower is purest AIDS. All he needs now to be Elrond at the top.
Oh right. Oh yeah, of course.
If he gets strong arm, he long bombs it on a 3-up. He can put it anywhere on the pitch, and on a 3-up you can't. The only person who can stop him effectively is Fritch.
Yeah.
Agi 5 blodge tackle is beautiful. Get that bad boy leap. You know it needs to be done. The armor 7 on the other blitz is a problem, but he can sidestep out the way. So depending on how hitty the team is, he's either going to stay where he wants or just get himself out of harm's way. The catchers,
I mean, even with armor 7, he's still better than your average wood elf.
Yeah, he's still decent. Sure feet catcher because he loves running catches past people. Blodge sure feet, it's all right. Agi, it's probably a bit of a shame that he's got Agi 5 nerves of steel. I don't know if I'd have took Agi 5. It does mean he dodges really well, so he can go pretty much wherever he wants, dodge wise.
I mean, the other thing is as well, it's another piece that can pass, isn't it? At the end of the day, like the fact that this team's obviously so heavily built around passing. The more players you've got that can realistically make that play, when your obviously primary passer can't do it, the better, right?
Yeah. He's got a guard guy. Never underrate an elf. One elf with guard it's like you look at it on dwarf teams, orc teams, you go, oh, you've only got one guard. Elves only need one guard because he can get wherever he wants to be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that can really hurt you. Sindar 2 looks like he's died and came back. Gilgalad should be shot. Sorry. Turned into glue. The other lineman, wrestle dodge is decent. Kick dodge is decent. He's got mobility. Movement 7 catcher with dodge. I'd keep him just because, again...
I mean, I reckon this might be Sean's season, frankly, Graham.
This could be... Of the teams I've seen, this is the one I'm looking at thinking... He's got the equipment to do it, and he's got 13 players as elves.
Yeah. And he can afford to lose one or two. There's stuff here that he doesn't necessarily need. Yeah. Even one of those, even like his big ass blitzers, even if he loses an Agi 5, he's still got another one. Yeah. And it's only a matter of time before this other passer starts getting levels, because he's going to be throwing
thrower right his head, stand at the back and just lob it 3 times. Yeah. If he gets Agi 5, he then becomes the safe throw on a 2+ absolute monster.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even if he sacks off Gilgalad and gets another one, he's still got 30k in the bank.
Yeah.
So he's got all the monies to do whatever he wants.
And he's got his Apo in case things go wrong.
And 3 rerolls. Fan factor 5's a good amount. He's probably never going to get +2 famed against. And he's got a decent shot at it. No chilies and coaches. Yeah, at his value, he's approaching a point where he either goes, I don't want anything, or he gets 14, 15 players, 3 coaches, 3 assistants, 4 rerolls, and just fucks off bloat and just goes 2.2k.
Yeah. And in this league, if we go back and have a look, he's currently the highest team value in the whole league.
Yeah.
Which is
a significant chunk above. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you say, he's either got to embrace it or deal with it, right? And I don't see how he's going to deal with it. He's got that much.
Yeah, at his level, he's getting to the just embrace it, fuck it all off, and just go big.
Mind you, he does have the highest TV on paper, but let's take a look at these Wood Elves, who, if memory serves, have about 5 players. Oh
No,
no.
he's got.
Okay, no.
He's
This has
bought everyone.
changed. This has
I
changed a
also
bit.
like the fact that he's swapped it, so it's really easy to see who's who.
Yeah. So this is obviously farcical.
Yeah, it's a beautiful roster. So you've got Little Sebastian. I love the name and theme. It's beautiful. Much respect to the Jack. If he gets movement up, I'd take it, because then you've got a tree. I've only got this from experience. A movement 3 tree on a Wood Elf team is beautiful because it doesn't have to roll to stand up.
Yeah.
Or block. Or I like guard on them, or multiple blocks a decent shout.
I
Just
mean,
for
it's also worth depending on how you're using it. I mean, as some of you will know, some of you don't, but you know, Graham, I play a lot of halflings,
you
and
know.
I have started just taking break tackle first on a tree almost always now because yeah, you use them to zone people out and occupy players and stuff like that. And
The other thing at strength 6, he can walk into a cage on a 3 up.
yeah,
Yeah, he's got movement 2, but if he just like, I'll put my cage like 1 square away, and he just goes, right, and fuck this. Movement 1 to stand next to you, 2 to go into the cage, go for it. 2 die a ball carrier. There's not many players in the league can take that hit and not be 2 dice against.
yeah,
Even without anyone cancelling out other assists, he can walk it in.
absolutely. And it's also worth sometimes getting sure feet on your second double if possible, because you are going to go for it with a tree every single turn.
Yeah, if you need to get it around. The other thing I like with a tree for elves is you stick it on the line. We have no claw yet. Maybe it's the Chaos Dwarf might have some, I haven't checked. But there's no like big boy Minotaurs that you'd think, right, I can't put this on the line because he's just going to push me out the way and just murder my tree first turn. There's no anti-armor 10 in this league. The only person who's really got to worry is you, because you just knock him over with your trees and stamp on it. And 9 halflings.
Not my trees. I'll use deep root.
Yeah.
Got strength 7.
Then the rest of the team, you've got Ron Swanson, Agi 5 leap. It's beautiful, and he's 1 throw away from leveling. Depending on what he gets, I'd be thinking maybe tackle, maybe sidestep. A little bit of sidestep makes him quite fruity. Movement 7, Ward Anta, he's the linchpin of his team.
You want to go with that Mighty Blow then?
If I got a double, I'd take Mighty Blow, because 2 Mighty Blow Ward Answers is absolute AIDS. It's beautiful. I've got a really nice Wood Elf team, so my first 2 skills were Mighty Blow on both, so I've witnessed that, and it is horrific, because you just can't stop the little buggers.
Yeah.
Then his movement 7-1. Movement 7's not a big hit, because he's got more movement 8 around, so he doesn't really care that much. It is strip ball, Mighty Blow, tackle. It's his cage breaking, knock the ball down, who runs free guy. Yeah. Every team needs one, and his is probably the best player in the game at it.
Bit of a shame that he's a movement down though. It means a smart opponent will take that into consideration when deciding where to place their cage.
Yeah. If you can make this team, and Jack's luck last season, I hate blaming luck, but the amount of times he won reroll wand, if that trend continues, like he lost games, the only team he didn't do that consistently against was me, and I gave him this team. You're welcome, Jack. And he absolutely hammered us. But if you make him roll enough dice, he will fall over. It's 1 in 6, and he's gonna have to dodge a lot. He is starting to build in dodge to a lot of his players. But if you move up the catches, block, strength 3, nerves of steel.
Beautiful.
That's excellent. It's blodge, it's fast. Next skill for me, I'd think maybe sure feet or diving catch. Catch. Actually, I'd just go sure feet because you're catching into 2 up in tackle zones, or leap just to be a dick to bounce over and out the way.
What about this though? This RG6 catcher.
He is. You can't play against that. You just have to accept that if the ball's near him, he's got it and he's walking past you. Even if you put the normal Elven defense, he walks past you on a 2 up.
Yeah.
The best you can ever get him to, without ridiculous numbers of players, is break, tackle, tail, 2 players, is still a 5 up dodge with dodge. That's an over 50% chance.
If Jack were to get enough cash together for a 12th player, would you be sitting that catcher on the bench until you need him, just bringing him out?
I'd keep him off on defense. Although that's the thing, he's so good and he's got so much value. The minute the ball goes over, he just runs through everyone on a 2+, picks it up on a 2+, runs out on a 2+, and lobs it on a 2+. He does everything he wants on a 2-up.
And that's why Games Workshop have
It's
decided
changed
to
the
add a
rules.
passing stat.
Yeah.
And I don't feel sorry for Wood Elf coaches. Wood Elf tears taste beautiful and salty.
The Wood Elf, I think the bigger Wood Elf change, the passing's a pain in the dickle. The one that really hurt them in the new edition, if the leak is to be confirmed, is they've lost sprint on their catches, so they can't one-turn it easy.
Yeah, again, not really sorry for them, given their record.
Their win rate is ridiculous.
It really is.
But
yeah, we've got this is a nice looking set of linemen here. As you've already pointed out, one guard is very nice. It's even nicer if you've got Agi 5 and you can just dodge into groups of enemies. He's got his kicker. He's got a blodger and a dodger.
Yeah. My next player for him would be a single thrower for leader.
You wouldn't get that 4th catcher first.
No, he's got 3. He's got Agi 5 guy to throw it to. He's got an Agi 5 lineman. You could use the reason I like him is it's quick leader access, so it's a cheap reroll.
Yeah.
And you can't remove that reroll. Because with his value being moderately high, he's only got 3 rerolls. He needs to have the anti hot pot.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be doing go for it. He's going to be having to move around. He is starting to get, like, all his core players have dodge, so the dodging shouldn't be failing him that much. It's the little go for it. It's the little that you need. You just need to have the redundancy set in at this stage for him to be challenging. But there's no reason this team can't go fairly far.
Yeah.
But it's the same as every other Wood Elf team ever. You have the one bad game where everyone dies, and then you're left with fuck all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at the Chaos Dwarves. So these guys were runners up in the Tenderfoot Trophy last season. He's got a 14-man roster. Yeah, he's missing a Bull Centaur for his first game. What happened to this Bull Centaur? Is he okay? He's just got an MNG, and his dedicated Fowler has a niggle. That blodging sure hands Hobgoblin is a really nice ball carrying piece, isn't it?
Yeah. That's now got it, so you can sit back, pick it up, and then hand off to the Centaurs. By the looks of it, one of his Centaurs has died because he's got a brand new. Has he even played a game? Let's have a look when it decides to load. No, he hasn't played a game, so he's just bought him.
He did. In his last game, he got 2 Bull Centaurs taken out in the final. It's one of the reasons why he lost.
Yeah, it will do that to you. But this team, as a team, 5 guard. This is the difference between Elf and Dwarf, though. This 5 guard is good, but because it's not as mobile, he has to be better positioning it. He doesn't have the get out jail free of arm Agi 4, Agi 5 guard. If he doesn't position right, you just isolate 2 or 3 of them, and 1 or 2 guards you can deal with that. The first game, don't know who he's got. We'll have a look at the second. Is going to be fairly rough, but yeah, it's a decent team. He's done the thing that I like about this team as a roster and for value. One, it's really low value for what it does.
Well,
he's going to gain
200k. 200k.
Yeah, when that 200k comes back, it kicks back in. But he's got fuck all on the Hobgoblins. He's got 1 fouling Hobgoblin, which is what you want. 1 to hold the ball. The rest of them are shite.
Yep.
And because he's been either lucky or clever with sacking off the Hobgoblins with value, and because his other players have survived until the Centaur died last game, he's got the core skills he needs. Even the one who doesn't have guard is 1 skill off it, and if he gets a double, he's got claw, and that's the diff. If he can get claw, then mighty blow. He's gonna start taking names, and none of the treemen are safe. It's a game changer when you've got dwarves with claw.
Yeah, definitely, and especially as we're going to see in this league, he is the bashy team, really.
Yeah. And he's got 14 players, so he can comfortably foul twice.
Now,
even if he gets sent off both times, he can stamp.
Yeah. these guys would be my pick for winning, simply because they are the rock to everyone else's scissors.
Yeah, it depends how the elf teams play. The elf team should be able to outmaneuver him and just like zone out the dwarves. It's how he uses the centaurs and if you can deal with the centaurs.
Yeah.
Because the centaurs are the big difference maker between this and normal bitch dwarves, because they offer you high strength mobility, especially the one with break tackle, because you can't just mark him up. He comes out on a 2-up. Has he even got? Yeah, he's got blodge as well. So that losing that for that first game, it's not the end of the world because he's got the rest of the season to catch up. But he is the piece for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can be lucky enough to level up the other centaur rather quick, even if it's just block. I like a block sure hand centaur, because then you can pick up the ball with him, and it means you take the pressure off that hobgoblin.
Bit of a shame that none of them have been named, though.
Yeah, this is why he's not going to win.
Yeah, strong theme equals strong team, people. Name your players. Let's have a look at MNG United, elf team number 83. Ooh, strength down catcher. Would you be keeping that? He has got guard. It's only a matter of time before he gets removed.
Yeah.
But I suppose that doesn't really matter, does it? Because you've had your use out of him up until that point, right?
I'd be keeping him for now. If he gets another guard, I'd consider it. But as it stands, because you also don't really want your catcher to be the guard guy. But if you get given the double, you don't refuse it. Same as like this, taking the strong arm on the throw is a good choice.
Yeah, that pass strong arm accurate is a nice low cost passing piece right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
he's
1 SPP off. What do you think he should take next?
Safe throw or sure hands.
Yeah.
Safe throw to avoid the jammy bastard 6-ups, because he doesn't have the speed. Like,
well, in this league, it's not jammy bastard 6-ups, is it, for half the teams?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of elf in there as well, so yeah. I like a good safe throw. It depends on his style, because if it looks like he's throwing it a lot, because he's got 2 accurate throwers, which suggests he does like to bomb it about, so I'd go safe throw.
Yeah.
The only downside with a safe throw is it means he's got no defensive, like block or dodge. But he should be just shielding him off with the wrestles and just pinging the ball wherever he wants.
Well, you just keep him at the back, don't you?
Yeah.
Wait,
you can ping it 13 squares. You can, if he stood at the back, he could throw it to the entire length of a half on a 3-up. So you can be 6 squares into the opponent's half, and he still hits you on a 3-up with a reroll into a 2-up catch with a reroll.
A lot of wrestle. Seems to have preferred wrestle over block. Is that a decision you agree with?
I can see the value of it, yeah. The only it's good on when you're trying to knock people out the way to run through. It's just a problem if they're the people defending your good pieces. The next ones I'll be taking block on, so I'll be using the block to defend my throwers and wrestle as the screening pieces. So it knocks out if he runs over, he's trying to blitz through to get to you. Alright, wrestle, take you down. But if you just have wrestle guarding you, then you use wrestle, fall over, there's now a big fuck off gap, straight through, hit your ball carrier. It's all about how he seems to have done alright with them, so
yeah.
I would say that he's probably factored this in, so
yeah, we'll just assume he knows what he's doing and move on. Timber and
good
Toons,
deep roster as well.
Another
14-player elf
team. Significantly less deep roster on these guys, but it's a very different roster. Very different roster. We've got 2 guard pieces, which is nice.
Yeah, the blodge catcher having guard is a much better thing for him to have than the other team. He's lost his kick, but I think that's just MNG in it. Oh, he's a niggle. The kick is niggled. It's not the end of the world, but
it's not the end of the world.
He's got 11 SPP as well, so
he's
keep him just for that.
He's got 130k in the bank as well, so he can afford, if he wants to indulge.
The thing that he needs to do, and I implore all people to do this, is sort your fucking roster out. Why is it blitzer, lineman, catcher, thrower? Sort that shit out.
Just stuff everywhere here.
Bottom right corner, swap player. Just do it. Makes everything easier.
Moving up catcher, probably the best bit of one-turn potential we've seen so far, other than throw teammate or whatever.
Yeah, if he can get lucky again and get 10, 10 sprint. Never put him on the pitch until it's 1 turn time.
Yep, that's obviously not going to be an option most of the time. So he's got a
3
small
guard.
roster. He's going to have the TV advantage over quite a few teams, despite having a lot of skill ups. Mighty blow on his blitz is nice, isn't it? Especially given the nature of this league.
His next one, I'd be given both the blitzers tackle. That lineman tackle. The guard guy tackle. Blocked. Or dodge. You can go. It depends how you play. I'm used to being fairly aggressive with elves and punching things.
Well, this looks like a relatively aggressive roster. I mean,
yeah, so he should be all right for that. I wouldn't say he's like one of the top tier teams like Jack or Sean, but he's certainly able to get the job done.
It ebbs and flows when in a league with this many elves, though, isn't it? Because if a couple of them have a season ender, all of a sudden you're the bullshit elf team in the league. If you have a cascade of awesome skill ups, I mean, he could just have a couple of games and all of a sudden he's got a bunch of agi 5s, he's got a strength 4 blitzer or something, and then he's immediately playing with the big boys, right?
The one downside to having an elf and stunty heavy league is people see that and they build into tackle a lot more frequently than they would if you're the only elf team in a World of Orc. So hopefully, and he doesn't have much tackle. I
probably will not be building any tackle. Mind you, actually, on a tree, maybe I would.
Yeah, that's the other thing he lacks is anti-elf. So I'd be looking. He definitely needs to invest in a bit of tackle, but he's got players that are not far off. So yeah, he's got a chance. I wouldn't put him up there as a favourite, but he's definitely got a chance.
He'll likely be in the playoffs.
And he's got a decent name and theme. So
yeah. Speaking of playoffs, let's take a look at these halflings.
Now this is to me is the team to beat.
I mean, we've got a movement 6 sprint halfling, right?
Yeah, that's a strength 7 about to be strength 7 block tree.
I think it's probably about to be strength 8, actually. Hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. Strength 8 would be, and then bring on Deeproot. Yeah, Deeproot's a little bit compared to him.
Oh, it's weird. I haven't played this team for like a couple of months. I'd almost forgotten just how decent it was. This really is quite like for a halfling roster. This isn't bad at all.
And the thing you've got going is you've got your 13 players. You could potentially buy a 14th, leaving 2 spaces for stars, or you can just pump that 130k into top-ups to get stuff. So you wouldn't obviously spend it all in one game. But if you're 20k off getting a hot pot, a Morg, and a Zara, because a lot of these elven teams, once you start getting that Zara involved, will not thank you. Yeah. Strength 4, setup, blodge, it's going to be horrific. And it doesn't ever turn you over.
Yeah.
But the rest of your roster, to focus on your actual team, sidestep, dive and tackle, beautiful. You've got a sneaky git, a couple of players not far off levels, break tackle tree, strength 7 tree. Your key player is the fucking bellend that scored against me, Bilbo Brumby.
Yeah, the fact that he can now move 9 squares, so I'm obviously not going to be moving 9 squares with him on the reg, but the point is, the one turner, right? Oftentimes you'll fall a square or 2 short. That's not going to happen with him. I think mathematically it's such an outside chance for him to come so far back that he can't make it to the touchdown line.
Yeah, he should be good for landing and running through.
Landing not so much. Landing's a 4-up. If I can get an agi up on him, then that is legit the best halfling I've ever had.
But I've got faith in Bilbo's ability because he's not playing against me now, so I'm happy if he does that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I reckon I can make playoffs with these guys. I reckon there's at least 2 teams in this league that are going to be worse than me.
It depends how they go, because you're not. There's no pressure on you. People will more likely underestimate you. And ogres are really expensive. Khemri, you can outfight them. You can hit their big boys down, and they don't like it. Once they start losing that, they don't like it.
Well, I'm not even gonna fight. Like I've played enough Khemri to know that the way to beat Khemri is to just pretend that those tomb guards aren't even there.
Yeah.
And just go for the skellies.
Yeah. when they've got no players who can pick up a ball, you win.
Anyway,
But yeah,
speaking of
it'll be a tough
ogres,
season, but I
well,
reckon.
yeah, I reckon I've got this. I made it into the playoffs in the last one. I can do it again this time. Wow, look at this! Look at this ogre team. We have we have 2 movement up ogres and a movement up Noblar.
So he's got block ogre, movement up, piling on, guard, movement, yeah, block, break, tackle.
TV's so high though.
Yeah, that's why disposable is needed, because it takes like 200, 300k off the value. I don't know why he's got diving tackle shadowing, because he could have took diving tackle, because you're only movement 5. But if it works, it's beautiful, because it's going to screw over people running away. But because your movements are terrible, tackle might have been a... But it is a fun choice, and I'm guessing you're not clicking this to look, I'm going to be optimal.
Yeah, no.
Your ogres. Doesn't matter what you are, you're never going to be good, because you're fucking ogres.
Would you keep the armor 4 Noblar?
Probably... he's got 5-star player points. Let's see what he gets. If he gets a double, give him dirty player, then foul with him every game. And just get him sent off, but probably not.
Yeah, I mean, how big is the difference between 4 and 5, really?
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
It's pretty minimal.
He's still wrecked, yeah. If you get knocked over as a snotling, you're probably dead anyway.
This is a weirdly unaggressive feeling ogre team, don't you think? There's no mighty blow.
Well, there's 6 mighty blow.
Oh yeah, of course there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just because of all the movement ups. It almost feels like I'm used to looking at teams with 6 ogres and being like, well, here's the ogre that does this, and here's the ogre that does that, and because
he hasn't got a agi up. He's got 2 break tackle for mobility, a block guy, piling on movement. I think he's took the movement whenever he could, rather than, because it depends on if he gets doubles there. He could have took block, and block ogres, or pro ogres even, are pain in the dickle. Or he doesn't need pro because he's ogres, so he's okay. It's not a human ogre.
I'm looking forward to playing this team.
That'll be a good game. He's only got space for 1 star, but because his value's ridiculous, he probably won't even get that.
Yeah, well, he definitely won't against me. Let's have a look at those Camrys. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that thrower with 2 strength ups.
Yeah. He's vulnerable to a Dauntless. And let's have a look. How many players does he actually have? 7, 8, 10, 12. 2 rerolls. Ouch keys.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 130k in the bank.
So he's won. Next game, buy a reroll. You can't be playing this league. If he plays you, he's got 2 rerolls, therefore probably none. Tomb Guards don't like not having block, but they can't take it naturally. It's a shame for him that his Agi 3 went on the Blitzer and his 2 strength ups went on a thrower, because if that was opposite, this would be brilliant.
Yeah, although being able to carry the ball with a movement 6, strength 5 thrower is not the end of the world, because even if you get inside his cage, what are you going to do to him?
Yeah. You score every single game with that guy and just get him block.
I mean, if anything, you're susceptible to being slowed down, right?
Yeah, that's the thing with his team. It doesn't seem to have the elves have all the movement. The elves can get away from him fairly well because he doesn't have any tackle. So he's going to struggle to stop the Agi teams. The dwarves outguard him. I'd say his favourite game will probably be the dwarves, because if he can chip a couple of them with his higher strength, but this is going to be a tough season for him.
I mean, to be honest with you, when I got my Agi 3 Blitzer, I found that a lot of the time it was worth sucking it up and possibly having to use a reroll to hand off to him, because you can blitz your way out of issues, you can dodge out on the 3 if you have to, and also you want him to keep getting SPP, right?
I'd keep him, if you had to level him up, get him tackle, because then he's a mobile tackle block mighty blow, which is decent. Your thrower, in a world of dodging in on really easy, has no block, no wrestle, nothing. So people just walk in and just half dicing. If you've got block on a half dice, it's pretty decent odds of knocking him over. And then they've got to pick up the ball again, and you don't care that you're on the ground.
Yeah. It's a different story though. If you forced him to, if this hypothetical cage break scenario, if you've got your 2 tomb guards with guard on the side that war dancer's leaping into, then that's a 3 die, and your chances are not so great.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good piece. I definitely wouldn't want to try to get it off him, and his value's fairly low as well. So it's not like he's going to be giving wizards to many people, which would be the anti-Khemri thing.
Yeah.
And there's no bombardiers, which are the bane of Khemri as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
looking nice. Just almost kind of shafted by the number of skill ups, right? You want some utility there. Anyway, that was Division 1.
Are we going to say who we think's going to win?
Yeah, let's do that. Who do you think's going to win?
I reckon Sean's got a good chance with that roster.
I'll tell you what, actually, rather than win, why don't you say which 5 of these teams do you reckon would you be very surprised to not see in the playoffs?
To not have them in the playoffs, I'd go MNG United, Littlefoot, Sean, Jack, Chaos Dwarf.
Interesting, you picked Littlefoot. I mean, I do expect them to be in the playoffs, but I wouldn't have put them in the sort of top 5 guaranteed playoff play.
It's, if he can use it, it's got so much that can hurt the other teams, and he can just screen things out. Like, even if Jack and the elves try to run through, they end up standing next to that team that's now got block, has rerolls, has a tackle piece, has players enough to foul. He can just beat you to death. I've got a lot of respect for Lizards as a team to play against and as, because they do everything. Their players do whatever they're designed to do well. It's can you leverage that, and most of the time they can, because the elves don't want to be near him, so his Saurus can move.
Yeah, fair point.
The Chaos Dwarves, you'll just base them with Saurus, ideally one at a time, so the guard means nothing, and just cage out the Centaurs and score, and then just slow him down.
See, my pick would be all four elves and the Chuffs, because I'm not even saying that any of those 4 elves will be in the top 1, 2, 3 teams, but they're going to win games. They just are, and so they're going to be in the playoffs. And the Chaos Dwarves are Chaos Dwarves in a league full of dodging teams.
I'd have said Fritch instead of Lizards at a push, but I like Lizards as a roster better than I like Slan as a roster.
I feel like the Lizards and the Kislev are the wild card teams in this. They're either going to have a surprisingly good season or a surprisingly poor season.
So hopefully that he can learn from his mistakes from last year, and Fritch has been getting steadily better game on game.
Yeah, he's improved dramatically over the last couple of seasons. I'd like to see him win. I really would. Yeah. It would make me very happy. Let's have a quick look at them first games, shall we?
Yeah.
So Mummy's Little Soldiers have got the Bulls. That's going to be that's you want to play them now, don't you? Is Khemri?
Yeah.
Like now is the time when they've only got one Bull Centaur. He's got to be pretty happy about that. Gives him time to maybe get some more tackle as well.
Yeah. Woodtuggers v MNG. These are just like, how the hell are you supposed to guess who's going to win?
Who do you think's going to win in the first one, Graham? We haven't even said that yet.
Bulls. I reckon the Bulls will have it. Just because of the guard.
They'll be getting inducements as well for this one, won't they? I think. Will they?
I think they get a little bit.
Oh, yeah, not really though.
It could be like that. One having a babe or something can be the difference, though. If you get a couple of nasty knockouts on dwarves and then they come back.
Yeah.
It's that those little things can add up.
Woodtuggers MNG United. I mean, on paper,
you'd think Jack, but
yeah, especially given that he'll be getting inducements.
Yeah.
He can probably afford to get himself a 4-3 roll just to guard against that bane of his existence. I think I'd probably go with the with the Wood Elves in that one stretch,
Yeah.
but I expect it to be a high score
Yeah.
affair.
Because we can't really stop each other scoring that effectively, because Agi6 catch dodge is doing literally what he wants on a 2+, and there's nothing the team can do to stop him.
Yeah.
If he's in your half, he can score. And MNG, you can't. It's really hard to stop Pro Elves, and they're both armor 7. Behavior of the tree, you'd think, would be the linchpin. If the tree can stay in the game, then his bashing will eventually take its toll.
It's that root roll as well. It's reasonable to assume that at some point in the first half it's going to take root.
Yeah. If that takes root early, then it's basically 10 against 11.
And he doesn't have the luxury of being halflings who have managed to acquire themselves 6 rerolls this half.
Yeah.
I'd expect Wood Tuggers to win.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong.
And then Timber and Tunes versus Rivendell Reavers.
I think, they're both great teams.
This will be another high scoring 3-2, 4-3, 3-all kind of.
The Reavers have got the numbers advantage. 13 man squad to 11. There's nothing stopping Connor from beefing up his elves though if he wants to with an extra lineman or something, but I don't even think I'd bother if I was in his position. It's just a passing game that Sean's got. What are you supposed to do about that? There's not really much you can, right?
The only thing you can do, and the reason the Tim Elves can do all right, is it's whoever fails the pass first, because the other team will pick it up and score. And then if you fail it again, it goes from being a 2-all to you're now 3-1 up, and psychologically can make the other team do stupid stuff to try to score quickly, because then you don't need to score. You just sit in the middle of the half in a big ball of death with the ball in the middle of it, and as soon as they make a hole, run a catcher out and lob it to him.
Yeah.
And the ball's at the other end of the pitch.
Bob's your uncle.
Yep.
Alright, Flying Circus versus the Shy Horses. I mean, obviously...
A betting man would pick the halflings.
Absolutely, yeah. But let's pretend that we're not for a moment. Let's say, realistically... obviously, anyone in the right mind is going to say that there's no reason why the Kislev can't win this. But I feel like this is not a bad matchup for the halflings.
No, because he's only got the 10 players. You're still gonna have a Deep Root, a Hot Pot, and possibly a Zara. Sadly, you're away, so I don't know if you've got the stadium inducement for making it cheaper.
I do have the stadium inducement, but I'm getting that much cash. I'm not even concerned, really.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get 2 stars and
a Master Chef.
Yeah, so he might have trouble with it. You'd think he should come out on top, but if your trees do a number on him early, he'll have no place to stop you.
Yeah, it could. This is a game where I'm looking at it as halflings, thinking there's no reason why I can't cripple him very quickly.
Yeah.
Like first turn, 3 trees on the line, throw blocks, get
fire
3 removals. No reason why I can't get 3 removals with that. Blitz with a fling onto someone, gather around, foul him. It's entirely possible that I could reduce his roster by almost half in 1 turn.
Yeah.
And I did it. I did it like 2 or 3 times last season against elves.
Yeah, it's a tough game for them. None of these are easy. I'd say the next game, even that one.
Littlefoot's Legion, wait, what ball? Obviously the Legion are going to get... They can get a wizard out of that.
Yeah, the problem I see them having is he's against ogres that can out-dodge him. So that the ogre will mark up 1 for 1 because they're higher strength, so they don't care about getting hit. They've got the little bit of block isn't really going to make a difference. And then if they can just mangle on a couple of those little skinks, they'll do all right.
I think, as with most ogre games, it's going to come down to whether or not the ogres behave, though, innit? Because all of that's all good and well, but if you get 3 or 4 really stupids in a turn, all of a sudden you're just crippled.
You're gone. Yeah.
It's over.
And then they get the ball, run away, and there's nothing you can do to stop them.
And that's going to happen sooner or later, because it always does, right? And that's why ogres never do well. Even though you look at them and you think on paper, oh my god, Why are these guys, like, you look at them and think there's no reason why they can't win, but that always happens, and it always shafts you. It never happens at an opportune moment, because there never is one.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think Littlefoot's Legion are going to win.
Yeah.
But if he can break the legs of a bunch of skinks nice and quickly, who knows?
Or just knock out Saurus, so he's got more easy access to those skinks.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of stampy going on.
Get rid of that prehensile tail as well. Never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's Division 1. Best of luck, everyone. Let's take a look at 2A. Right. That took us over an hour, Graham. So I think we'll probably we'll not go quite as in depth on these, but they are fresh teams, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll let's take a look at the dwarves.
Yeah.
So Ewan got sick of playing teams that required skill and went for dwarves.
I don't like his roster. He's locked into this, right? He can't change it.
Yeah, he is locked into this.
Yeah. I don't like his roster.
Yeah.
Because you don't need 2 runners because you've got 2 blitzers. Your linemen level up slowly. I'd have dropped a runner for a Longbeard, took the 3 rerolls, and leave the apple. You're one of the best armored teams in the game at that point.
Yeah. I mean...
And you've got 10k in the bank to then have to roll a medium roll to immediately buy your apple.
Absolutely did not need to take an apothecary out the gate.
Yeah.
Should have taken the 3 rerolls, 100%.
Yeah.
The 2 runner thing is a point of contention. I actually quite like taking 1 runner and sometimes even just 1 troll slayer. Because troll slayers attract. It's not like the premium build or anything, but they do attract the attention of people because of that 8 armor.
Yeah. I like having bilateral frenzy.
Yeah, I would say that it's preferable to have 2 troll slayers. I think most people would, but I would also say it is a legit build to go with 1. If you really want to get that app, you can drop a runner and drop a troll slayer.
Get Linos instead.
Yeah, and I think that just...
it gives you exactly the right.
Yeah, gives you enough. And that's what I would have done, because he's going to be disappointed. He's going to get shafted by only having 2 rerolls sooner or later, isn't he? Yeah. Especially against flings. He's going to have no rerolls against flings.
Yeah.
Still though, he's dwarves. I'm sure he won't be punished for any of these allegedly poor decisions. And also, got a theme of some kind. In a Reign of Blood, Tom Araya, I'm assuming Kerry King. This is a heavy metal themed team, which is it's a Games Workshop product.
They like it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, especially the youngins, but Games Workshop used to actually have their own record label with the band Bolt Thrower signed to it. Let's have a look at Lizards. It's Impossibles.
Good name.
Yeah.
Very
clever name. Almost too clever for this league. I would describe this as a highbrow team. It's the kind of comedy that you'd expect from one of those expensive magazines.
Yeah. Whereas we're more of your Viz level humour.
So 1, 2, 3, all 6 Sauruses, Croxagore, 4 Skinks. So we've got a team that has sacked off a reroll to have the full roster. Not a bad choice on a team like this with already a bunch of inbuilt dodgers, right?
He's tried to mitigate it with the coach and cheerleader. So on the most common rolls, on the second most common rolls on the table, he gets a 3+1. So he's more likely to win those. So if he gets coaches or cheerleaders on the kickoff table, he's probably going to win. Because he's 33% better off at the start. Is it she or he? Because I know there's Sophie's in the league now as well.
I'm pretty sure that Sophie is named Elson on this.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure this is a he.
Okay. Yeah, he should. It's a decent build roster. It can be quite hurty. It's susceptible to the usual thing of he doesn't have many skinks early, but he's got the numbers of high strength to basically get out the way. Or none of these leagues, when you look at them just as a whole, are particularly easy. I'd say this one is, just on who's in it, is slightly easier, but even then it's not that. Like,
yeah,
you've got the dwarf team full of aids. You've got Spilsbury was quite good last season.
I mean, the real reason he's going to struggle is because he's not named any of his players.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Then you've just failed. You're not even.
It's all over. Moving on.
Yep.
This is Tony's team. Tony, I believe, is a pretty experienced vamp coach. He definitely plays tabletop.
Yeah.
And you can assume he is because he's gone 3 vamps, 4 rerolls.
3 vamps, 4 rerolls. Apo to keep his things alive. Coaches to win more rerolls. He's susceptible early games to deaths. So even if he loses his first couple of games but gets a lovely bit of vampire love, he can then just smack up on a couple of thralls, because all his money now goes into thralls and vampires. He doesn't need to buy more rerolls. His Apo's already there, and he can keep his MVP reliably alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to prefer getting the extra thrall over the early apothecary.
Yeah. It gives you numbers in the first games to get results.
Yeah.
Which will give you the money. But yeah, it's vamps are vamps. If they behave, they're brilliant. If they don't, they're dog shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And thralls are nearly always awful.
Distinct lack of core skills with vamps. Yeah. But yeah, like you say, if he gets that early SPP. But yeah, I always like seeing vamps in leagues. It's never boring. It's never easy to predict, is it? It's always ifs and maybes.
Yeah. They're a good, what's the word? Like wild card, I suppose.
Yeah. The one for the neutrals.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Clan Dingus, one of 3 fresh Skaven teams that have joined us this season.
I like his roster.
Yeah, no Rat Ogre. It's the right way, I think. Many experienced coaches would say. What is the wrong way, however, is there is a gutter runner, then a gutter runner, then 2 storm vermin, then a gutter runner, then a lineman. Let's get these into a nice, easy to read order, please, Mr. Zimlock.
If it doesn't happen, it's a good job I don't have power, because I'd be rolling a 1 in 12 and just niggling people until you fix it.
But in all seriousness, he's named his team. Well done, good guy.
Expendable mink.
Yeah, he's got 3 rerolls and Apo. Yeah, there's no reason why this team can't do well.
I'd call this the longevity build.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
3
decent roster.
Runners, getting SPP nice and early. Yeah. If you can get them leveled up very quickly, all of a sudden you've got some movement 9s with a bunch of extra skills against a load of teams that just are not equipped to deal with them at all.
Yeah, and if you can get movement 10 early, then just spam a couple until you get sprint. You are ridiculously hard just to beat because of the easy 1-turn potential. It's 2 2-ups with the 4 to get the ball to women's score.
Yep. I guess the only issue we might have is the lack of pickup. No short hands, no passes. But you'd just use your gut runners for that, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah. Later on as he builds, I'd probably go 4 gutter runners first, then a thrower, and I'd just stick with that. You can get a rat ogre if you want for the tail and a bit of strength, but depends how you go. But yeah, it's a decent build.
Yep, not shabby at all. Right, let's take a look at the best team in the league now, Halflings.
14-man Halfling team, 2 rerolls. He's living the risky dream.
This one's a she, Graham.
Sorry, Dizzy.
This is actually Emily.
Oh, it's Emily. Oh, hello.
Yep, Emily's back. And yeah, like we've actually got a Rugrats theme here, which is really left of field, which I appreciate. Named after various members of the Pickles clan. 720. So this Halfling team sits somewhere in between the 2 builds, I would say, because you have your kind of 850 TV build where you get like 14 flings, you get 3 rerolls, that kind of build, and you just say, right, I'm just going to get the Master Chef each game.
How's that? She's got the altar. She's got the altar, so she's at home. She's got 230k to spend on stars, so she might be able to sneak a Zara.
Yep, possibly.
I can't remember how much it costs.
The other extreme is to get the altar and get your team around about 600 to 650. So in game 1, you can pretty reliably get a Master Chef and Deep Root, right?
And just smash
this
things.
One's somewhere in the middle, which is not a bad thing at all. That's not a criticism. I'm just pointing it out. It's
Lots of
probably
players,
the more
so she'll be
sensible way to
hard.
play.
Yeah. Lots of players, so she'll have her. It's harder to just triple her team down to nothing. It's flings. Yeah,
It's
They're
flings.
fun. Yeah, they can
Don't be
end a
tempted to
season.
throw
They
the
can
one
make a
turner.
season.
Don't be tempted to just one turn for the hell of it. Cage up and move slowly down the field. Throw a fling if you have to. I know you didn't
Basically,
ask for my advice,
just
but I'm giving it you anyway.
yeah, that's what. If you want to see it, watch our seasons because it works. People who throw halflings every turn don't have halflings.
Yeah, I mean, do use them as projectile weapons if you
But
if you
sparingly.
need to dislodge into a cage. Just make sure you've got the resources to do it. Let's have a look at Paulie's Angels.
For humans, he's a level 20 coach, so he's clearly played the game quite a lot.
Yep. And this is a pretty standard human build.
Yeah. 3 rerolls, money left to buy replacement or an apple. Ogre, yeah, it's a good sort. Put them in fucking order though, people, come on.
It's
Maybe
pretty close
Jesus.
to putting them in order.
There's a lineman
There's
between
only
his
one lineman
shirt.
out of place, yeah.
It's
I would have gone for the second thrower. Scott's John, I would have made him a second thrower. Just because I think it's worth 20k to get 2 skills.
Yeah, I think he's. I don't know, but his thinking might be early on, because you're pretty much at the bang average team, is get the apple to try to keep your blitzers alive.
Yeah.
He's got the free armor up, as I keep complaining about, on the catcher. So his catchers are better than they are on tabletop. So I'd abuse that as much as he can. It makes a hell of a difference, armor 7 to armor 8.
Yeah.
And to
yeah,
put it in
absolutely,
perspective, if you get a strength up,
well, it's the average rolls on 2d6s, isn't it? It's the same. Yeah. If you play Settlers of Catan, you get a really great illustration of why. Because they actually have. Have you played Settlers of Catan, Graham?
I've only seen it.
So Settlers of Catan has a system for determining which regions of the map produce the goods that they produce by rolling 2d6, and each section of the map has a number between, I think, 2 and 12 on it. And obviously the more desirable regions of the map are the ones that are closer to the centre of those two, because you're much more likely to roll a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 6 than you are to roll a 12 or a 3 or whatever. But yeah, then that's for that reason. I'm just pointing this out to illustrate your point that the difference between armor 7 and armor 8 is vastly bigger than the difference between, say, armor 9 and armor 10.
Yeah, it's a good build team. He's got a bit of strength. It's what humans do. They're not great at anything. They're just average across the board, and they're good versatility. And in this league, I think he's going to be all right because it's not one way or the other. His versatility, if he can play them well, should stand him in good stead because he's a good swing of teams in this.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of speed, he's got a bit of bash, he's got some stunties to beat up on.
In my experience, experienced players do well with humans because, or even though they're often touted as a great team for beginners, in leagues or in terms of development, I think you actually have to have a pretty decent knowledge of the game to know what to do with a team that has this many options.
Yeah. It's building it right and doing everything as you should.
Anyway,
I reckon you'll do all right. I don't know the lad, but based on level 20 and
he must have played
a
a fair
bit. Build, yeah, he seems like he knows what he's doing.
Green is the colour.
I love it.
So can you tell what the theme is here, Graham?
When it loads in, David Gilmour. I can see he's named them, but I don't know.
This is a Pink Floyd themed org team. We've got David Gilmour and Roger Waters. One of These Days, Interstellar Overdrive, Run Like Hell. These are all Pink Floyd tracks.
Another Orc in the Wall.
Yeah. So yeah, Andy's relatively new. He's not played a great deal of Blood Bowl, which is why he's taken Orcs. They're a great team to learn on.
If he wants practice things when I'm not at work, I like Orcs.
Yep. Hit us up. We'll show you the ropes. This is your standard TV 1000 build, right?
Yeah. Decent build, got a bit of speed, got a bit of muscle. Yeah. Nothing to write home about, but gets the job done.
Yep. Best of luck to him. As we know, strong theme, strong team. Yep. Let's take a look at the Bowmanor Cellar Surfers. This is Kev Bruin?
This is
He's an experienced coach, he knows what he's doing. Kev Bruin knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. So he's got... Yeah, it's a standard build. 3 rerolls is good. 2 whites, 2 mummies, 3 ghouls.
Obviously,
pick
the
the
big
skeleton.
choice with Undead is whether or not to go with 2 ghouls or 3 ghouls. But I think most people would agree that 3 is better.
Yeah.
Skeleton for the fouls.
Yep, skeleton's alright there. Gives you a little bit of mobility cover.
Does mean, however, that if you lose a zombie, you're then putting skellies on the line.
Or you just stick your mummies up there, depending on who he's playing, because there's not much here that's big boy strength-wise.
Yeah, I guess, but if you put a mummy on the line, I will knock it down and foul it.
Yeah, you will.
Regardless of what team I'm playing as.
Right.
I'm glad you agree. That's killed that conversation, hasn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, fair enough. If you can get him over, then go for it.
Not really much else to say. He has named his players. He's named his players. Well done. Good guy.
He's also a very Undead, for me, are one of the strongest out-of-the-box teams.
Yep, absolutely.
So
especially in leagues.
Yeah, he can beat anybody just based on good, strong starting roster. There's no team here he looks at and thinks, I don't like that. He's got the block to take on the flings. He can gang up and beat up your trees. He's got a bit of speed to contend with the elves. The only thing he lacks at the start is a bit of numbers, but it's really cheap to... And if he kills anything, he gets a free player.
Yep, absolutely. Very strong league team.
Yeah.
Decent player. You'd expect him to be in the mix. Let's have a look at Dwinen's elites. Here's Spilsbury's team. Difficult team to play. High elves. Not an easy team to play at all.
They're not.
He's got no catchers.
He's went for the 3 rerolls, so he doesn't have to spend as much later build, which can be good because you've got your rerolls, you're less likely to fail, fall over and kill yourself, but you've lost your speed, you've lost your weapon against most people. It does also mean that you can easily share your SPP around though, because you won't have a catcher just hogging it all, so he's probably going to level up his blitzers pretty quick. You can, and you don't have an easy armor 7 target. He can do pretty much what he wants, and if he plays a slow grind, then punch out and throw game, he can do that. He's got armor 8, he's got strength 3, he's got a couple of block.
What else has he got in the league? What's he up against?
Skaven, human, orc.
Yeah, it's pretty diverse league. I mean, I think that the problem with that is he's just so lacking in core skills now, isn't he? Yeah. Those linemen are just waiting to be picked off. They can't even really run away.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not too into it.
I'd prefer, if I was building it for me, I'd prefer 2 catchers, 1 reroll, 10k in the bank to buy an apple as soon as I can.
I mean, if you're going to play elves, you want to play elves, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, you might as well play something else.
No, but you could do, you can't write it off because all of his players can throw it. They can all catch it. He's all right. It's just it lacks it's the speed that I worry for him.
Yeah.
If he can go against the slow teams early, so the speed doesn't hurt him, and then he gets a catcher for the big boys, or plays the Skaven early so he doesn't care about catching them, just beats them up, gets a couple of star players, and then saves up a lot of money to get catchers.
Well, I guess time will tell. This will be one to watch. It'll be interesting to see
where. He was alright last season when he was playing as well, so he's not like a crazy, I'm just going to run around like a lunatic player. So he should be alright.
Well, let's take a look at these brats. It's been 5 seasons at least since we've seen a Bretonian team.
Not a real team though, are they?
Well, they look pretty real. Fate Stay Bert. I don't get it. Do you get it?
No.
Fate Stay Bert. It's got to be. It's got to be like.
It's got to be. He's definitely named it himself.
Fate Stay Bert. There's something in there that.
Fat Staybit? No. Fatty Staybit?
Fate Stay Bert.
I think you've done this just to confuse us so we look like fuckwits.
Yeah, I would quite like to know what this means. We've got Saber, Archer, Rider, Lancer, Assassin, Caster, Berserker, Shiro, Rin.
So he's got a decent roster.
Is this a reference to like a game? Rin, Sakura, Shiro? Are they characters? We could do this all day. If someone knows, put it in the comments. I'm not just being a YouTuber because I'm not a YouTuber. I would genuinely like to know. If someone's figured this one out, let us know. But yeah, as for Brett teams, would you know much about Brett teams?
I've played a little bit as them and against them. Not so much as. They're very good with the ball because they've got the movement 7, they've got the Dauntless on 3 pieces at the start. Good. They're an odd one because their natural guard, goes on wrestle base pieces, and their linemen are terrible. So if they can control the game, for me they're a control team with a little bit of running about. So if he can control the game, not take too many early cash on it's all the positionals. He doesn't care about the linemen. Fend is irritating. It lets him get away a lot of the time. And if you should turn it on so it's optional, so he has the option of making people follow him. They're good, but they're expensive. If he survives, he'll do well. They're like a poor man's elves.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
You
Cash
build them
Dauntless
quite
on those
bashy, though, don't you?
Yeah, you can hurt people with them. But you can also throw, like, if you get, like, say, 2 blitzers, 1 catcher, another blitzer becomes a thrower, you've got people who can catch the ball, run around, do a bit of bashing, got Dauntless, and can do other things. Guard on all of the blockers, because that's what they're good for. And then just random crap on the linemen. The linemen are cheap and cheerful, at least.
Yeah. I played
He tends to get quite high value, and he's picked the 3 reroll, which he needs, because that's the other thing, it's got 7 core skill starters, so he tends not to blocking fall over that much. It's the other things that he has to worry about, and he can lock up his linemen. They're okay speed and strength, but they're not dodging away very easily. Their armor's terrible. You've got to be careful with when you're planning that you don't forget the fend. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how. I mean, I'm pretty sure he picked him just because he asked me what haven't we got, and I was like, Brett's. Yeah. So I think he picked him just for diversity, which I respect.
Yeah, they're a good team. And
yeah, I mean, they are considered like a high tier team.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, aren't they? So we'll see how it goes. So 8 of these teams will be going through to the Tenderfoot Trophy. Top 5 for you that you think are going to be in the mix?
Dwarf, Undead, Brett, Human, Lizard.
Don't put the Skaven in there?
I was tempted to put them in around the Brett area because they're good, but it depends. Whereas I think the Lizards are going to be all right. The Dwarves will be good. Humans, because we know he's played a lot. Undead, just because they're dog aids to start with. And the other 2 are... It's hard to pick the last couple because everyone could do all right. It's so at the start of a league, it's so hard to predict.
There's a lot of relatively new and returning coaches in this as well, isn't there? I mean, we're assuming Paulie knows what he's doing, but we don't know that for a fact. We've never seen Andy play in a league. We don't know. Emily's not been with us for a couple of seasons. She's playing halflings though. It's difficult to say. Spilsbury's high elves are an unusual high elf. We just don't know how they're going to perform.
Yeah.
The Skaven, we've not seen those guys play before. We don't know whether or not Matt's going to be competent with Bretonian. There's so many.
Yeah,
it's difficult to
so many
quantify
variables. If you look at the schedule, you've got Undead versus Brett.
That's going to be a rough start for Brett's.
The only thing he's got going for him is his early Dauntless against no guard mummies. If he gets big boy, I've got mummies, sticks them at the front, you can just stick a lineman next to them and just Dauntless on a 3-up. There goes your mummies. And do what you say, just kick the shit out of them, move them out and stamp on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once you've lost your mummies, and if you lose 1 mummy, you can't cage up as well on your attack. It's harder to defend properly because he's got speed, mostly. He can go pretty much wherever he wants, so it's going to be a tough one, but you'd expect a starting Undead team to do a decent job against Brett.
Yeah.
It'll be a close one. I'd say it'll be probably 2-1, you'd think, with scoreline-wise, because they can both score.
He's not going to be putting his mummies in positions where he's going to let that happen either, I don't think, really.
Nah, but it'll be a tough first game. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the team I know does well at the start, so I'll say Undead, just to be decisive.
I'd be inclined to agree. Dwinan's Elites versus Green is the colour. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a really tough one to call.
Just based on player experience, if Andy hasn't played the game before versus someone who's played a couple of seasons, I'd give it to elves, because you have to position well as the orcs to not leave yourself vulnerable. You can beat them up, and beating them up isn't the problem. It's not stopping them just using the one square position mistake you've left to just get their entire team past you, and you can't recover. But by the same token, he's not really that much faster than the core of the orc team, which needs the blitzers.
Yeah.
So I'd give it to the elves again for decisiveness, but
yeah, he's obviously more experienced. He's not got the. He's just still gonna have. If Andy just does some basic positioning, you just can't really remove orcs, can you? They're a nightmare.
Yeah.
I hate them, man. I hate playing against orcs.
That's why I like them, because other people don't like them.
Yeah, they're the noob mode. Yeah. Okay, well, in a Reign of Blood, Paulie's Angels.
I've got to go.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, the humans have obviously got the maneuverability.
And they've got the core skills to pick out on those little thralls. And once he starts getting numbers, his 12-man roster versus
that's not the vampire team, Graham. That's the dwarf team. In a Reign of Blood.
Is it? Oh, I was looking at vamps. Oh, dwarf then. Ewan hasn't really played much dwarf.
You don't need to, though, do you? Really?
No, piece of
with dwarves.
Walk up and stand there and.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a 1-1 draw, I think.
I'm going just to be decisive. I'm going to say, screw you, Ewan, playing bloody easy mode. Human win.
Fair enough. It's the Impossibles versus the Rugflings. Not a bad first matchup for Halflings, I'd say.
Yeah, because they don't have
you can fight the Flings. Your trees can outfight the Sauruses.
You just focus out the Crocs.
Yeah, just don't get tied up by that prehensile tail. And you're laughing. Certainly one that the Flings can win. But I think we can all agree that the Lizards are more likely to win.
For me, it's the Hot Pot. If the Hot Pot strips them of rerolls, they'll be in trouble. Because they've already got 2. It's not an easy one. I'd agree. It probably should be Lizards, but
yeah, absolutely should be Lizards.
This is definitely going to happen.
Yeah, not unwinnable for the Flings at all. And then we've got Vamps versus Skaven. That's not the worst starting matchup for vampires, is it? Your big fear with Vamps is that you're gonna lose 3 or 4 thralls in your first game and your season's over. That's probably not going to happen. He doesn't have the rat ogre. He probably doesn't want to fight.
You'll probably do a bit of blitzing and blocking with his, but you're right. It's not like he's playing the dwarfs who would just spend their entire game just killing you. So then the second half they can walk in on turn 16.
Yeah.
And if the Skaven, depends on how they want to play. If they don't care about the result, they can run up big scores, because you can just throw it with a vamp, catch it with a vamp, run forward, score. Skaven will run in, score. So if you get like a 4-3 win, they can set both teams up really well for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So it could be a really good game for them. It depends how they play it. And because it's early game of quite a big season, 9 games, you can afford to lose the early couple just trying to get points. Even if you lose at a high scoring shootout, you're setting yourself up for later on. But
yeah. Well, I mean, I think
if you had to pick, you'd pick Skaven because vampires can kill their entire squad.
Yeah, definitely. I'm open to being surprised on that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy route or anything.
Yeah, definitely.
And the vampire coach's build suggests he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at 2B.
This is the true thing of champions. I think we have the most champions in the entire thing in this one. So you got
This is the group of death. So dry white bread. This is Patrick. He had his first season with us last season with Undead. Did what most relatively new coaches do, which is started off rough, picked it up towards the end, and I believe he just missed out on Tenderfoot Trophy action. He's come back with humans.
Humans, you'll notice the versatility difference. Like, you'll go, I want to move my zombie over there. I can't, it's a zombie. But now it's a lineman. he's got a decent chance of. You can't rely on it all the time, but you'll feel the difference and the speed. The one thing you will have is the lack of punchiness, but the ogre helps.
I like the theme
It's
here
exactly
because it is an anti-theme.
Yeah.
He's tried to make it as dull as possible, and named his team accordingly. Dry White Bread, which I really appreciate. That's the kind of theme that I can. I mean, based on the theme alone, I'm already thinking these guys are potential Tenderfoot Trophy champions.
Yeah.
But other than that, not really much to say. Yeah. This is a standard human build.
Give him the credit. Much love. You see 2B starting out has how it should be done. Plays in order.
Yeah, plays in order.
Doesn't offend my sensibilities.
We appreciate that. Obviously, 20k in the bank, saving up for the apothecary.
Yeah, you'll need it because it's
a rough league. This.
Yeah, this is the league I'd be worried. Well, I am worried about because I am in it. Then you've got. He should do all right, but he's against some good people.
Yes, he's got a tough group here. Let's take a look at the Skaven. Easy cheesy rat boys. Max
this is
Skaven.
The alternative build.
He's got cheese-coloured strip there, which I like. Yes, the alternative build, starting with the rat ogre. Max really loves big guys, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he likes leather daddies.
He likes the big daddies. He likes the tail. He likes the frenzy threat. And it gives him that bit of oomph. The downside to it is it's an expensive armor 8 piece without block. So if someone can get a hold of him early, he's a whole heap of team value. He's only got 11 players. Again, he's Skavens, and you don't want to be exposing your more expensive stuff to getting beaten up. He's got a fortunate thing, which we'll come to later, is I've already looked. He's my first opponent, and I'm Dark Elf. So I probably won't kill him that badly because I'm not really, a beaten up team.
Well, he is Max. I'm sure he'll find some way to screw it up. But
you'll fire his own players just because he doesn't like their face.
He's named all his players after cheese as well. Again, appreciate the theme. Strong start in this league. Two good contenders for theme champion. We should have a theme contest, I think, from now on. Just give people incentives to get creative. All right,
you don't get your team niggled. This, to me, is the one who I believe will be first in this division.
Well, Dave is one of the most experienced Skaven coaches I know.
Yeah, that's
so
why.
He should be very afraid when he joins a fresh division with Skavens. And he's gone for what most of us would say is the sensible Skaven build, I think.
Yeah, the sensible longevity, 12 players, Apo, 3 rerolls.
Now, we've already discussed the quality of this build in the previous Skaven team. It's identical,
strong
I believe.
Naming. Yep,
strong naming, yeah. Rat Pack and Cheese. So he's obviously gone for a crooner theme here. I think we're at a point now where we've seen pretty much every build that there can be of most of these things. We're just going to be discussing themes for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave on Skaven, going to be
he's going to be a strong player.
A normal Goblin team.
And this is fruity.
Yeah.
If you wanted to have a fruit basket, this is the one.
Oh my god, this is beautiful. So, for those of you who are relatively new, Sam Unwin has a reputation for building extremely strange teams. The strangest of which was the Snotling Stars, which was 16 Noblars. This is not quite as fruity.
He doesn't have any blitzers, but he's swapped them out for Blackhawks. So he's
basically found a way to make orcs
not
into
orcs.
Lizards.
Yeah. 4 rerolls. He's got 30k in the bank. He could be dangerous, but if I could have picked a team to play first, it would be this.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get some SPP out, the one advantage of having no blitzers is that your Black Orcs are going to be blitzing for you.
Yeah, they'll give you hitting things, so they should level up a bit quicker.
Hopefully.
And it's still lots of strength 4 to get past. You can pick up the ball effectively. You can one-turn it. I wouldn't say well, but you can one-turn it. Lots of rerolls, so he can do what he wants. And he's mitigating the lack of core key skills to start with.
And look, he's colour-coded his entire squad.
Now that instantly makes him
legendary.
Yeah.
I like those Black Orc names as well. Smash, Crash, Bash, Steve.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I love this. I absolutely love everything about it. I sincerely hope he does well with them. Let's take a look at these Nurgles. Tank-topped bum boys. appreciate the reference.
Peak has played Nurgle for about 6 seasons now, and this to me is his best starting roster.
Yeah, well, you don't necessarily know this, but Damo is one of those people who, whatever game you play, he will pick one thing and only ever play that. So if we play Civilization, he'll only play as India and Gandhi. When we play Dota, he tends to play a single hero constantly for months on end. So it doesn't surprise me that he's decided to stick with Nurgle. Obviously, that's what gives him pleasure, specialising in one thing. Not the only person in the world that does that either.
They're a decent team. This roster I really like. You can argue, well, he doesn't have a beast, but he's got money. He's going to get the warriors, and his warriors are what do the business. They're leveling them up early. The beast, a naked beast, still does the same job it does without when it's got guard and stand firm. Get in the way. He's also got 3 Pestigors, so he's not as... Because I think in his last season, game 1, he took an Agi down, and he was really struggling. Where now he's got a bit of variety in there.
Yeah.
He's got the rotters, he's got the rerolls. I don't know if I'll probably save up for a reroll. I don't know. It's a hard choice between that 3rd reroll and the beast. Depends how he gets on, but
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
He's quite good for shutting us down as well, because he's got regen. No one cares about rotters, and the disturbing presence stops me and the Skaven doing their thing quite as well. The foul appearance stops the Bashir teams trying to go through him. They're a gimmick, but the gimmicks can work, and it only takes one badly timed gimmick work to screw your plan.
I'm intrigued to see what he'd call the beasts, given the theme.
If it's not Cummings, I'll be very upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's done really well.
Yeah, it's good looking roster
team.
that. Obviously, Nurgle are a difficult team to start
really
with.
Hard.
This first season is just going to be skilling up, really. It'll be season 2 when we see this come into its own, but I hope it does well. The Mad Furies, Chaos. Feels like ages since we've seen just a default Chaos team. It has been a couple of seasons, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So what have we got? We've got your standard Chaos build here.
He's got one difference.
Yeah, he's gone for an Apothecary over the extra reroll.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, not a great shout, that.
I'd say league-wise, Chaos are my strongest team, and you need the rerolls.
Yeah, you've got no core skills.
So many blocks. You can't pick up a ball well. You need that redundancy.
Regardless of whether or not you need it, it's financially sensible to get it now.
Yeah.
Because it's going to cost 120k the moment the league starts. Unfortunately, the league is about to start.
Yeah.
So it's a bit too late for that now. But who knows? I don't think many people would argue with you that it's more sensible to get 3 rerolls. But if you lose a warrior first game, you have gambled and won, right?
Yeah. I mean, you've seen that with my team, where I made the gamble last season with the Necro, and 3rd block of the game lost my most expensive player.
Yeah.
And it's not that out of reach that it happens.
I mean, Max started in the DBBL with 1 reroll and a Minotaur, and still won his game. So even something that idiotic can work. Let's take a look at the full Montezuma.
This is Warsofts.
Yeah.
So I've never met with her. She's level 1 on Blood Bowl 2.
Another fantastic name. I'm pretty sure she knows how Blood Bowl works.
Yeah, I've got a first inkling that she knows how to play the game.
Yeah. We're pretty confident that she's well versed on Blood Bowl. But most importantly, because we've already seen this build now, it's the same as the other team's build. Although somewhat satisfactorily, it's upside down to the other one. The other one had the Crocs at the top. The players have been named.
I don't know if
they have. I'm pretty sure they have. I don't know. Actually, it's kind of hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, because they all have weird names at the best of times.
Yeah.
Because Of Swamps doesn't look like they'd normally named, so that's given us hope that she's named them.
Well, there is a standard one that's of the pyramid. I don't know. Who knows? But the team name is nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Full Montezuma.
Yep. The other main key difference is the other one had cheerleader and coach to start. She's got 20k in the bank to help either fund a replacement or the early Apo. It's going to be a threatening team. It's fast. It's strong. Does what it says on the tin.
Is she shafting herself with the 2 rerolls though? You
either have 3 rerolls but no Crocs. So I like that, having the Crocs. It gives you the strength, and it gives you more players on the pitch to roadblock getting your skinks. Because if you just have the Saurus, I can just tag them up the lineman and then have my entire team picking on your skinks. And eventually I whittle through your skinks. You can't pick up the ball and I hammer you. And it hampers your development and your money to be able to buy stuff. So having strong starting roster means she's more likely to win the game to get the extra money to be able to then buy the stuff later on. And it's going to level quicker, so it's going to be more dangerous in the future. It's the flip side of that is if it gets throw a rock killed first turn, she is wrecked.
Yeah, true enough. That's highly unlikely to happen now. I think you
can't
really factor that one in, can we? Right, Kenny, the Sultan of Salt, has, nobody could have predicted this, decided to just really lean into that salt potential and go with goblins, which are, in my honest opinion, the most frustrating team in Blood Bowl to play.
Yep. My biggest issue with his roster is that he doesn't give himself... I'd have dropped one goblin to have enough bribes to keep both star players on the pitch and have 2 spares so you can keep them off for a turn 8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Fanatics are immense. I'd say Fanatics are the best random weapon just because of what they can do. You can push your own players around, and because you're rolling 2 and 3 dice picking, you always pick the push or the power with Stumble. So you can one turn surprisingly well with them. And
he's called him Dix Enormous as well.
Yeah, his naming thing is he's a good boy. I just fear that he won't be able to bribe to keep the fun stuff on long enough. But he's got a good starting roster. If he does do well, and the chain does do, he's got a lot of players.
Delightful. Yeah. Hey, look, I hope he has a fun season with these guys. I mean, they annoyed the shit out of me. I hated playing goblins. But I do understand the pure joy of playing a low tier team because I love flings. So I hope he enjoys it. But yeah, it's always fun seeing goblins. I like watching them way more than I like playing them. Necros, Monster Mash Bash, Dave coming in with
this
Necros.
Is the fruitiest build for the big boy proper teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a weird build. Although there are a lot of Necro coaches who would argue that the flesh golems are very expensive for what they are, and I don't think any experienced Necro coach would disagree that they are very, very hard to get SPP on.
Yes. I played a full season with extra games and got to the playoffs, and I got 7 SPP, and one of them was an MVP in the first game.
I'm currently playing Necros in a YouTuber league that I'm in, and I already regret taking Flesh Golems. I just wish I hadn't bothered. I wish I had this build.
Because you can level up pretty quick. The worry he's going to have is if you want to level up the ghouls to protect them, the wolves aren't doing anything. If you level up the wolves, the ghouls stay vulnerable. It's if he can survive the early leveling up process, you'll be fine. He's got 3 rerolls, which is nice. So he should be alright because he's fast. He's only got 11
he's basically just slightly gimped undead.
Yeah.
Isn't he really? And even gimped undead is still undead, so yeah. He's experienced, I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
He's got 1 championship behind him, just the 1.
Yeah, just the 1. Yeah, interesting. Another interesting team.
Oh, did he name his team? I didn't look at that. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, of course he did.
He's a good lad.
Menethil. Oh, he's I like that. Yeah. Right, Sultans of Swing. So,
Sultans of Swing.
Do you want to take us through this? This again is quite an unusual build.
So after many, I found they get picked on and die, and then every league I've ever started with a witch elf, it's always been picked on in the first 2 games and dies. So I've gone with a runner because I'll probably only ever have 1, and as it's a salty team, it's called Kenny. He knows why. We all know why. There's also a thing behind that of if I get a skill up, but it's not a stat up, he can get leader, and I instantly jump to 3 rerolls.
Yeah.
So it lets us more comfortably get the apple. 4 blitzers is standard. Linemen are all there, all named after different kinds of salt.
I like it. Very nice. I like how Kenny is a kind of salt. He's actually ascended to that point.
Yeah, it is risky with the runner because it's armor 7 and has no core skills, but I'm willing to make the risk. It's a little bit. If you just play the cookie cutter every league, it's just the same shit over and over.
Absolutely. I mean, I appreciate, as someone who has to look at these teams every week, I appreciate something a bit different. So, top 5 guaranteed spots. What do you think?
Right. So
this one's
top,
quite tough.
Yeah, I'd go Dave, Oakley top. I'd put me up there. I'd put, just because it's him, I'd put Dave Bowden up there.
Probably the Lizards.
It's so tough because one bad game puts everyone out. Like, if I get screwed over, I'm out. But if I get a good game, I'm untouchable.
So, yeah, I mean, the Chaos and the Nurgle are difficult to quantify, aren't they, at this point? Because you can usually tell after 2 or 3 games with those teams whether or not they're going to have a good season.
Yeah. So if this would be decisive, me, Dave, Max, Lizards.
There's a lot to fight for in this league, I think. Yeah. This one's, of the 3, I think this one's almost probably the most intriguing.
Yeah, this is definitely the group of death.
Look at them first few games. So you've got Max in the first game. Yeah, that's an interesting matchup for you, actually.
Yeah, I don't like the tail. I don't like his high strength. I'm hoping I can just survive and score lots. I don't care if I win. I'd rather score 3 or 4 and level, because I've spent all my other seasons going, I'm going to win the game. But I've got no skills, and my teams have always been dog shit because I've cared about the result more than the team.
Yeah.
So fuck it, just score shitloads. I don't care if you beat me if I score 3 or 4.
Yeah, fair play. I'm sure Max doesn't feel the same way though.
No, Max will want to crush me into the ground and beat my team to death.
Yeah, that's why he's got that right ogre, right?
Yeah. Any game he plays against me, he wants to see me cry. So there's extra incentive to make him crush me.
I think you'll probably take it.
I reckon we'll be. I'm expecting 2-all, 3-all.
Yeah, probably big scores. It'll be interesting to see how that Rat Ogre behaves. Rat Pack and Cheese versus Dry White Bread. We've got Dave, very experienced Skaven coach, versus Patrick, who's playing Humes. And I mean,
I'm picking 3-0 to Skaven.
I think the Skaven are going to score a lot, but there's no reason why the humans can't wail on them a fair bit.
It could be 3. I'd expect Dave to score twice, and I'm either going 2-1 or 3-0. But the humans, if he's stalling him, generally being really slow, you can just pick on his team and just get SPP by killing stuff, or just knock it out so he can't have players for the next drive.
Yeah,
it's not an easy matchup because the Skaven don't want to just spam in 5 touchdowns and come out the game with 4 players. He's got to be careful. If he starts taking a beating, he doesn't want to score because he's then taken 4 free hits at the start. 3 from the blocks, 1 from the blitz.
Yeah, absolutely. And
all of them are block.
If I don't know how much Pat's played humans. He's probably not played them anywhere near as much as Dave's played Skaven. If I give Pat one piece of advice, it would be don't feel obliged to move your ogre if it's already in a good place, because remember, every time you activate it, it has to make another bonehead roll. And don't waste your blitzers on your ogre.
Yeah.
Because if he fails that bonehead roll, you don't have a blitz. You just use him to intimidate your opponent. You don't have to necessarily even throw blocks with him.
Yeah, he's a roadblock. They're not. Some big guys are fight, like Minotaurs, Rat Ogres are fighty activation big guys because they don't lose their tackle zone. And your trolls, your ogres are roadblocks. Same as, for me, the crocs.
Yeah.
And the beast is a tentacle.
Big guy, the tree.
Yeah.
Right, a normal goblin team versus monster mash bash. That's going to be interesting.
That is going to be a tricksy one. Part of me wants to say that the goblins will foul all the wolves off the pitch and it'll be glorious and you'll have no team left. And I'll be vindicated for having to go to his roster. But Dave's good.
That claw's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And he doesn't have linemen or anything to get in the way, so he's just going to use zombies to push it out the way and then abuse the claw.
Yeah. Yeah, and in a sense, it's almost good that he's got the
goblins.
Yeah, well, in a sense, it's Dave Bowden's roster choice worked quite nicely for him here, because usually with your wolves you kind of have to carry the ball with them, don't you? So at least one of them is not going to be making any blitzes or throwing any blocks. That's not necessarily the case here. Yeah. So it might even work out well for him. I mean, you got to assume the Necros will take it, right?
Yeah. You'd think the Necros would win it just on roster choice, yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. What's the TV on the Orcs? Oh, he's basically got a full TV.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. If he had like the ability to grab bribes or possibly induce like a chainsaw or something, that would have been quite interesting.
Yeah. Because even the money left, because Dave's the same, he doesn't get anything bonus, so he can never take anything.
Yeah. Tank Top Bum Boys versus 8 Peak Punies. That's a rough start for the Goblins, who are probably going to want to throw teammates and.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to the Nurgle because he doesn't have the bribe either because of the value difference. So his 2-star players at the end of the first drive go off. So if you're Nurgle, you just run in score, get them both sent off. You're 1-0 up. Then yeah, you struggle to knock the Goblins over, but you roll enough 2 and 3 dice blocks, you eventually chip them. But by the it's stuff like the foul appearance.
Yeah, it's gonna be causing a lot of problems, and the thing is with Gat, I don't know how Kenny. I don't know if he just decided to say sod it and just have a terrible season and laugh at himself. But if he's prone to if he's going to get frustrated, this is going to be the most frustrating game.
Yeah, this will be an absolute nightmare for him.
Yeah,
because he doesn't get the bribes. He can't throw teammate as well. He can't do basically anything he wants to do. Even the chainsaw could run up and just go, "Nah, I'm not hitting you. You're too ugly." And then he's got a chainsaw stood next to someone and he gets beaten to death.
So we've got fresh off the bus Chaos versus fresh off the bus Lizards.
I'd go Lizards with the builds.
Yeah, I mean, you don't expect to win your early games as fresh Chaos anyway, do you? Much like the Nurgle, they're a season 2 team. His job is to focus on development. He just wants to be beating up on those skinks.
Scoring with his warriors.
Scoring with his warriors if he can, yeah.
Because they're Agi 3, so you can use them as legitimate ball carriers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, I can't see the Lizards struggling too much there.
No,
unless she loses a shitload of skinks or something.
I know from talking to her that she plays Lizards in tabletop, so if she's played the team before and he hasn't, that knowledge of just how it works and having played against other people should stand her in good stead.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure Tom's played Chaos before, but who knows who's more experienced, right? We're going to find out soon enough. But on paper, at least, I think we can both agree the Lizards would take that one. We'll see how it goes. And that is everything.
None of these games are easy to predict either.
No, none of them are at all. This whole league is difficult to predict, especially with all the fruitiness. But that was all 3 divisions. Good luck, everybody, and thanks for joining me, Graham.
No problem. 2-time champion, Graham.
2-time champion, Graham. Thanks for joining me.
No problem.
Yep, we'll see you next week.